Hello and welcome back to my brand new channel, Projects with Love, and to my very first official project video ever. Last time I asked for your help to choose what my first project was going to be between a side table makeover and building a bench, and most voters chose the side table makeover. Now, I was really happy to do this project. I had most of my ideas for it and a lot of the materials already, so it was really just about getting it done. Stay tuned because at the end of this video, I'm gonna need your help again to choose what project number 2 is going to be. Let's get started. I had found these very simple side tables at a church sale a couple years ago for maybe $5. I got really excited and bought a bunch of supplies right away to get started on this project, but for some reason, completely stopped. Until now. So this time around, I just gave them a quick sand down, got them cleaned up, and gave them a better patch up job with this Wood Pro X all-purpose wood filler. While that was drying, I decided to get started on my idea for the shelves for these side tables. I didn't want the tables to be just all one color and kind of boring. So I knew I wanted to add some dimension, some texture, some color. And I also knew that I did not want to add any sort of lining or wallpaper or something like that. So I got to thinking because I knew that these needed something. So I decided to buy a bunch of jumbo popsicle sticks and cut them down to use as little wooden tiles for the shelves. I'd done a bit of research on how I could cut these down without splitting the wood, and someone recommended to use tape and a saw. So that's what I did, and honestly, I think it worked really well. I did sand them down a little around the edges and practiced laying them out in several different patterns, and finally decided to do a herringbone pattern with these tiles. I used a piece of paper to help me map out what this would look like and to help me figure out roughly how many of these tiles I was going to need for all 4 shelves. Then I started experimenting with some stains and this golden metallic luster paint I found by Folk Art. I actually got this at Walmart and I loved it so much. I'll definitely be using it on future projects. When I finally figured out what I liked, I got to painting and staining literally hundreds of these things. It took forever, but I just love the way they turned out. Eventually, I needed a break from all that and went back to the side tables and got them sanded and cleaned again and prepped for painting. I decided to tape off where the tiles were going so that they would stick to the wood better later on. I used my Finish Max Super Paint Sprayer by HomeRite to prime and paint these, and I'm so happy to have it. I honestly don't think I do any projects like this without a paint sprayer. After the first coat of primer, I noticed a few more spots that I wanted to touch up with some wood filler before moving on, and I realized that this was much easier to do with my fingers than with my putty knife. After that had time to dry, I sanded and cleaned once more, got rid of that newspaper and tape because it just kept getting in the way, put a second coat of primer on there, and was finally ready to get the real color on. Oh, and just a side note, I knew that having a couple of dollies would be helpful for this project, so I just used some pieces of wood I had lying around and threw on some wheels to make my very own. I had already bought the paint I was going to use years ago when I got these side tables. I had decided on a water-based furniture and cabinet paint with a melamine finish. It's a Benjamin Moore color called Rainforest Foliage. I did a couple coats and just love how this color pops. I knew it was going to go so well with the golden legs I had bought and with all my new tiles. Now it was time to get tiling. I found the center point of each shelf and drew a 45-degree line to get started with my first piece. I used a popsicle stick to evenly coat the back of each tile with some construction adhesive and carefully place them where I wanted them. They take a few minutes to dry, so I could still move them around a bit and adjust them throughout this process. Oh, look at that shine. Doing the middle part of these shelves was quick and easy, but having to cut each piece to fit around the edges was definitely a pain. I used my X-Acto knife and a ruler for this, but I found them quite tough to get through, and somehow I managed eventually. I actually started sticking those tiles down with wood glue, which was actually a really huge mistake. They all started curving and warping and not lining up properly. So I quickly popped those off and did some research to see what I could use so that this did not happen. And I found that a polyurethane construction adhesive would do the trick. So I used that and I really enjoyed it. But I'm curious, how do you, if you have any suggestions, how do you plug up your tube-like products when you haven't even used half of it? I literally just put a balloon on there, wrapped it with a rubber band, and I'm hoping for the best. But I'm curious, if you have something that works for you, please let me know.
I wanted to grout between the tiles to give them an even looking finish, so I taped along the sides and used this Lepage wood filler in the color walnut, and it was a great match. I got to grouting, and when it was dry, I washed it down and got it ready for the next step. Before getting to the actual final step, I finally added the golden legs I had bought, and I really love these with these side tables. I decided to use a furniture wax to seal these instead of a polyurethane. I never used a wax before and I wanted to give it a try. I used this super fun brush and this decorative finish wax by Bear. I made sure to watch a couple videos on how to do this before I got started. I did a couple coats and some buffing out, and by the end, I really did like the glossy sheen finish they had. And there you have it, folks, the final product.
This project was definitely a labor of love, but not just because of the project itself, but because I wanted to share it with you. So, filming, editing, writing a script, voiceovers, it was a lot of new things for me, but it was really nice to see everything come together. And for my first video, I think I did pretty good. I'm pretty proud of myself, and it can only get easier from here, right? Right? I was really happy to share this with you, and
Subscribe, subscribe.
please leave a comment to vote for what you think my next project should be. Last time I offered to build a bench or do these side tables. So this time I'm going to keep that bench offer still up there. And the other option is going to be this little dresser that my mom pulled out of the garbage near her house for me. So it's between building that bench or refinishing this little dresser that my mom had found for me in the trash. So I've got a lot of ideas brewing. I can't wait to see what you choose. I'll give it a few days and let you know in about 3 days from now what I'm going to be choosing, what my project number 2 is going to be. And please, if you've seen me use a product in this video and you've used a similar product and you'd like to share it with me, I'd love to hear it and learn about new products that could maybe help me do an even better job next time. So thank you for your support and take care. See you in the next video.